The other night, I saw NewsHub's coverage of their latest political poll, and I thought it was a great example of the subtle ways our media pushes their preferred narratives.
The public has sent a decisive message to Labour tonight. They've had enough of the drama.
Did the public really say that? This piece contains no research to show why some voters were leaving Labour, but NewsHub nonetheless asserts
Labour's series of scandals is centred on a downward spiral.
Assuming that they're referring to their own polls, I went on the Read Research website, which TV3's NewsHub pays to run their polls. But their published results end in May 2020. So I called them and they told me that TV3 actually asked them to take the more recent dates off the website. They didn't say why, only that it was TV3's decision. Strange, but anyway, through NewsHub articles, I managed to find poll results for January, May, and August this year. And those three results do show a downward trend for Labour, as do the Roy Morgan poll results. Downward spiral seems a little strong, but sure. That a series of scandals caused it is simply an opinion though, and it's one that NewsHub pushes aggressively with the help of deeply rooted settler racism.
There's nothing sweet about this. Labour is losing it.
And we've had a few issues internally as well.
That's an understatement. It's been 4 months of ministerial mayhem.
They timed that so that the words Ministerial Mayhem came up on the images of Meka Whaitiri and Kiri Allen. It's not in chronological order. The media storm surrounding Michael Wood occurred after Meka Whaitiri. That was a deliberate editing choice. Now, Meka Whaitiri fulfilled her promise to the late Parikura Horomia. She gave 10 years of service to the Labour seat despite feeling undervalued by the party, and then moved on to another political party that she felt represented her values more accurately. So she didn't actually do anything wrong. In fact, I think it shows integrity. But NewsHub is placing her in the mayhem category because it fits their narrative. Images of Indigenous and brown women are already pre-coded with negative stereotypes, meaning half the work is already done.
The Kiri Allen car crash, just the latest challenge for the relatively new Prime Minister.
They love this story. It perfectly fits the narrative of Labour crashing, especially given the fact that there was a wahine Māori involved. Kiri Allen said she was struggling. She apologised and took responsibility for her actions. No one was hurt and she resigned. She's gone now. The same can't be said for Sam Uffindell or Barbara Kruger.
We asked in the poll, did Chris Hipkins handle the situation around Kiri Allen's resignation well or poorly? The majority backed him.
There are countless questions they could have asked, like what we thought of Labour ruling out wealth and capital gains taxes, their inaction on waterways, their refusal to regulate monopolistic corporations making massive profits. They could have given people all of these options and one about Kiri Allen and let people rank them or something. I don't know, I'm no polling expert, but their decision to ask that one question shows they took a preconceived idea to their research and sought the data to back it up. The idea is that Labour is losing it because of ministerial mayhem, caused mostly by their association with Māori. Luxon pushed this narrative when he made a grandstanding statement ruling out Te Pāti Māori. This was after they welcomed Meka Whaitiri in Parliament, which Luxon found disrespectful because it interrupted the King's coronation. He said they're radical and displayed an absolute perverse set of behaviours, and that together with Labour and Greens, they would form a coalition of chaos. So, an Indigenous party disrupted a ritual for one of the biggest symbols of colonisation in the world, and National thought it was the perfect moment to distance themselves from Indigenous resistance. Perverse, disrespectful, radical and chaotic. At the least, National is trying to build on anti-Māori sentiment to demonise Labour by association. Or worse, they're perpetuating racist ideologies in order to prevent greater acknowledgement of Indigenous rights. Either way, Coalition of Chaos is highly racialised, and NewsHub's Ministerial Mayhem is just a rebranding of that same idea. In fact, chaos is the first word that comes up in the thesaurus for mayhem. Both are fun alliterations and both rely on racism to make their point.
Without drama to deal with, Christopher Luxon's been getting campaign fit.
Without drama? What about their constant attacks on Māori? Or what about policies which seek to make the gap between the rich and poor even bigger? Or their push to imprison and institutionalise young people instead of resolving the root problems? Without dramas feels like another opinion to me.
Do you think New Zealanders trust you?
Yes, I do. I think they do.
No, they don't. Across the board, voters are drifting away from the two motherships. ACT is no longer driving to survive, it's threatening to overachieve.
And who's coming to our rescue? But David Seymour.
The Greens want their slice too.
Every vote matters and that your vote matters.
But they and Te Pāti Māori need Labour to pull ahead.
Wow, so nationalists cuddling babies, actors arriving at a fancy conference while Te Pāti Māori gets that video of someone attacking them? It's a constant and deliberate choice to vilify a people. In other words, racism. And this is just one segment from one channel's 6 p.m. news. When we look closely, we find that our media is saturated with at times subtle messages that perpetuate racial hierarchies. Over time, and with the anti-Māori propaganda pushed by well-funded think tanks like Hobson's Pledge, New Zealand Centre for Political Research, and the Anti-Co-Governance Tour, these ideas become part of the public's subconscious.
Well, if these are the election results on October 14, it would be nothing short of a bloodbath. It is not fatal for Hipkins, but they are bloodied and limping. They need to get out of the fog of war of Parliament, out onto their preferred battleground, the campaign trail. That's where the prime ministerial gloves come off and Labour can unleash its political scrapper.
Colonial narratives often push this idea that we're at war, that we should be afraid, anxious and sceptical of one another, and especially of Māori.
A mega Mecca bombshell. Mecca Whaitiri went to ground, launching a missile at him.
This provides fertile ground for the rise of saviour figures like David Seymour, who act like they're anti-establishment while offering an even more oppressive version of the same old capitalist colonial domination.